NATO Genel Sekreteri, NATO daha Avrupa merkezli olmalı.
Good to see you all, and I'm happy to be back in Munich at this important conference. As you know, yesterday we had the defense ministers session with NATO, and there was a real shift in mindset. As you know, we are investing more in NATO, all over NATO territory. The Europeans now, all and Canada on 2%, and we agreed, of course, in The Hague at the successful summit to reach the 5%. But what I was also seeing yesterday is this notion of Europe really stepping up, taking more of a leadership role within NATO, and also taking more responsibility for its own defense. And I think this will only strengthen NATO. I'm convinced it anchors the United States even more in NATO than it was already, because it is dealing with this big irritant which has been there for so many decades, of the Europeans spending less than the Americans. And we are now dealing with this. So this will anchor them in NATO. They are totally committed. Also again yesterday, both nuclear and conventional, to the alliance. And I think that is very important. Of course, we will also discuss Ukraine. It was discussed yesterday, it will be discussed today. One, good news, more money coming in to support Ukraine in the war effort. But we still need more. Particularly we need interceptors. We need the ammunition to make sure Ukraine can stay strong in the fight. And what I will also be doing today and tomorrow is make clear that the Russians are not winning this, as some are thinking. This so-called Russian beer is not there. It is basically a stilted speed of a garden snail what we are seeing in Ukraine. This is how the Russians are moving inside Ukraine. Very slow, staggering losses, tens of thousands a month, 35,000 dead in December, 30,000 dead in January. So these are the facts, and therefore we have to keep Ukraine strong, because what we see is that they make the best use of our support. So with that, do you have any questions? I think you have.
Yes, I have, Mr. Thank you very much. ISIS is still threat for the world and for Europe. ISIS is threat for the world and for the European. Will you continue working with the Peshmerga and the Syrian democratic process?
That's not on my agenda.
That's very interesting.
It's not on my agenda today or tomorrow.
Really, what do you expect from the Secretary, U.S. Secretary Rubio, from his speech?
Mark Rubio is a good friend, and he will no doubt continue pressing Europeans to keep on taking more of a leadership role in NATO, make it more European-led, and therefore also making clear, it's my expectation that it will only help for the US to be even more anchored inside NATO. But of course, I'm not writing a speech, but I've every confidence in this speech.
Do you think that Europe can be independent from the United States, and yes, when?
Listen, I think we all agree in NATO that we should stick together. The US and European and Canadian NATO. I think we all agree on that. But having said that, we also all agree that NATO should be more European-led. Europeans should take more responsibility for their own defense. And the good news is they are doing. There's the extra defense spending. We are seeing, for example, Germany doubling its defense spending 2021 compared to 2029. They will go to over 150 billion. A clear example of Europe stepping up. The Germans are increasing their presence in Lithuania. Again, Europe stepping up. Pearl, Europeans and Canadians buying from the US essential gear for Ukraine. Europeans stepping up. So we will stick together with a United States anchored more than ever inside NATO, because they know that what they have asked for decades, Europeans and Canada taking more care of the collective defense, particularly spending the same at least as they are spending, is now happening. Not only because the US is asking for it, but also because we need it because of the Russian threat.
General Bridge Colby said that Europe needs to take primary responsibility for its own conventional defence. How quickly does that need to happen? How long does Europe have?
What I'm seeing at the moment is NATO more and more European-led. And the Europeans really stepping up to take care of their own defense, but with a strong US presence going forward, both nuclear and conventional. And we have all the plans in place, as you know, to make sure over the coming years, with the huge investments now taking place, as I said, the Germans doubling their defense spending, the new Dutch government committing to reach as fast as possible the 5%, including the 3.5% core defense spending. What is happening in Poland? Well, I could mention all the allies. Canada back, really stepping up. So we'll, over the coming years, get more and more. We will more and more see a NATO more European-led, but at the same time, the US absolutely anchored in the organization.
Target date or a deadline?
We will do this step by step, in close conjunction with the United States, based on the defense planning process we have. Yes.
Can Putin invite one of the NATO countries?
Again.
Can Putin invite one of the NATO countries, and when it can be?
Well, let me first of all say that there is a US-led peace process. I think that's crucial. And led by the American president and, of course, Marco Rubio, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. They're doing an excellent job. This is not easy. It will take time. And what you will see, of course, first of all, they always coordinate with NATO allies. So we know what's cooking, what's happening. That's important. Of course, they work closely together with Ukrainians. And wherever helpful, you will see others participate. No doubt. But the most important thing is that whatever happens there, it is in close coordination done.
Secretary General, please. According to the Ukrainian intelligence, Russian ballistic missile Oreshnik is already in Belarus. What NATO are planning to do with this, and will you allow Ukraine to strike this Oreshnik on the territory of Belarus?
Well, again, this is the reason why I'm saying here today and tomorrow. This is my main priority. Yes, it's good news that Europeans and Canada are helping Ukraine more. But we need to do even more, because when it comes to the interceptors, to take out missiles, when it comes to the anti-drones, we need the counter-drone technology. Of course, the Ukrainians having it, but making sure they have access to a massive amount of that as possible, working with the Ukrainian defense industrial base, but also making use of all the cooperation and bilateral cooperation with NATO allies in Europe and Canada.
Bu web sitesi, İngilizce okuma ve dinleme becerilerinizi geliştirmenize yardımcı olabilir. Yapay zeka, cümleleri daha kısa ve anlaşılır ifadelere ayırır. Oynatma aracıyla hızı ayarlayabilir, duraklatabilir veya geri alabilirsiniz. Site, 20 dilde çeviri desteği sunarak öğrenmeyi kolaylaştırır. Tarayıcınıza enknest.com yazmanız yeterli, hemen deneyin.